Hello everyone and welcome to episode 32 of Suplexes and Microphones. I'm Joe, that's Nate, and sitting in between us is the one and only Zuka King. Zuka, we got some titles out here. Tell us about your current championships, because I know you've been Zuka 2 belts, you've been Zuka 3 belts. Right now we're at 2. What do we got in front of us?
We got 3.
What is the other one?
I couldn't take that with me.
Oh, okay.
The
Contractual agreement?
Yeah, the promotion wants to keep it.
Understand.
The Future Stars of AML Championship. I'm the first ever Future Stars of AML champion. I won it May 14th in the Battle Zone Wrestling United States Championship. I won that then I think July 21st, I believe.
Okay, so just a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
a hot day too. Wrestle outside.
Oh yeah, I know Battlezone does a lot of shows outside.
Did it at the Peach Festival.
You got to have the cardio to handle that.
It's a tough time of the year for outside shows.
Right, that's right.
Well, the first thing I want to get into, a lot of typical wrestling podcasts, like how long you've been wrestling and who trained you and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about something completely different. I'm going to talk about what I call your obsession with Dr. Doom. And I've talked to you online about this a little bit. So tell us where that comes from. Why are you focused on Dr. Doom? Is he your favorite villain? You know, what is it about Dr. Doom that
he's
like?
basically my favorite villain. Like I liked his story, how he was like the scientist trying to figure out all the stuff he has to do, and then his project blows up in his face, and then all his face messed up.
Right.
And instead of him like complaining and just being sympathetic, he just went away and remade himself and became a super villain.
Okay.
Granted, it was Reed Richards' fault while his face got messed up.
Oh, you're going to put it on Mr. Richards.
I think so. That's what we're going with.
So let's talk about the Fantastic Four movies. Yeah. They've all been terrible, in my opinion. They've all been terrible. So what would you do to make one of those work in the future? What's wrong with those? What has failed?
Have any of them have Doom in it?
Sort of.
That's the problem.
They have a version of Doom that, as a comic fan, I'm kind of like, that's not really Dr. Doom.
Right.
You would probably agree.
I've seen like little clips. I've never watched them. Not their movies.
Okay.
Once I heard they were bad, I just didn't take the time.
You probably made the right choice there.
I just like Doom. I don't like Fantastic Four.
I'm with you there.
Right.
I think Fantastic Four is corny, and I don't think they translate well to the big screen anyway.
Right.
They're okay with the comics. Like, I understand that medium for them works. But beyond that, I don't think
I think Dr. Doom is like the most edgy thing to them.
You're right.
Yeah.
Without Dr. Doom being their main villain, they're basically.
And then he has that mystique to him because everybody wants to see how his face looks.
That's true. That's true. Have you seen in Secret Wars the episode, the issue 12, I believe it is, called "The Face of Doom"? Mm-hmm. That actually shows his face.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
I
can take care of that for you.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you worry about that. So one of the things I do want to talk about, I have seen you, and I've actually messaged you about this at least once. I have seen you go into seminars and various training facilities. I feel like there might not be another greater student of the game in the independent world in the Southeast than you. Would you agree with that? And why do you? There's a lot of guys that think they're too good to go to another seminar, too good to learn from this person. Clearly, that's not your take on it. Right. So, give me your perspective on going to these seminars and continuing to step up your game in the training department.
The main thing, especially with Bob teachers, is once you stop learning, you might as well get out. You might as well even be in the business no more. Right. So I'm always willing to learn and. I always want to learn from the guys who've done it before me, the guys who were good at it, stuff like that. Even some of the guys that were bad at it, stuff like that. But because you got to learn from the mistakes and stuff like that. So I just always studying wrestling. I always love wrestling, So right. You always got to study. I heard a guy said, if you want to be great at something, you got to research the history of it.
Right.
So that's what I do. So.
No, all right, I agree with that. So. Nate and I, and actually Caleb and I, and Heath and I over this weekend have talked about how it seems like you personify that classic heel. And you do that probably better than anyone that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's not with gimmicky stuff. Right. So what do you think makes a good heel, and then what do you think makes you a good heel?
I think what makes a good heel is facial expressions. Letting the people know that you're serious. Mm-hmm. Talking in a way that that guy, he's no joke. He's legit. And just not going out here trying to do cool moves. You
Right.
know, I hate to say it like that, but if I'm doing backflips and stuff, they're gonna like me eventually.
Right.
You know.
That's
But
true.
if I take that away from the baby face, or beat him up or cheat, stuff like that. Cheat.
Yep.
Sometimes just cheat for no reason.
Right.
And that sounds weird, but that's what you got to do,
Mm-hmm.
just to get them to hate you.
Well, and I'll roll us back to the Dr. Doom thing. If there's not a good heel, then the face is
It's
worthless, right?
right.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're just saying Fantastic Four would be like much lower tier without Dr. Doom. So,
But it's also what people forget too. Is also if you have a good baby face and not a good heel, it's still just as hard.
right.
Do
Do you think, because being the classic heel and being able to aggravate fans and upset people, do you think it takes a extra layer of thick skin as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I've
you've
been-
got that, right?
Yeah, I've been called names I can't say on here.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't, like somebody else. It would, like, I wouldn't say it bothers me, but then when I'm in that mode, it's like, okay, he called me this, so I'll just say something not out the way, but I'll say, well, you know what? I'm gonna beat up your favorite wrestler right in front of you, and then I'll maybe grab the guy and show him stuff like that.
Right.
Just talk trash to him, and then now they're even more mad with me,
Right.
Because they use these words to get me mad, and if they don't see that I'm upset, then that bothers them even more.
Right. All right. Let's talk about the E&D. This is a group that you've been aligned with for a long time.
Since I started.
Who are the members of E&D currently?
Well, I'm not even a member of the E&D anymore.
Oh, did they boot you?
Yeah,
What happened?
We lost the rights to the rights to the E&D. I think at the April show at OSCW in Charleston, we wrestled
Okay.
Nick Kismet and Kevin Phoenix,
Uh-huh.
and it was TJ and I, and we lost the match.
Well, let's talk about the classic E&D, because you said it was the first group you've been a part of,
Yeah.
right? TJ Boss has always been in that, or no?
Yeah, TJ. First, it started with Kevin. He was talking about he wanted equality and stuff like that because he wasn't getting on the posters, he wasn't getting the main matches, this and that. Then they added Jet Black.
Jet Black.
And then this is before I even got. This was I still training, like helping out at the show and stuff. And then they added what's his brother's name? Alex Averinos. He wrestled a long time ago.
Okay.
And then they added Tommy Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So they just they had their little thing going on, and then Tommy left. Alex Averinos quit wrestling, and then my training was like almost done. I mean, my training is never done. I still train today, but like
You're
for
ring
me
ready.
ring ready to get in the ring. So Bob called me and said, "Hey man, we're gonna Alex Averinos quit, so we're gonna put you D&D." I was like, "Wow!" Like, okay, cool. So it wasn't the first night I did it, but it was like the next night I officially joined the group.
So tell everyone what E&D stands for in case
It's
they
the
don't know.
Equal Nation Demonstration. We even though we were an all black group, we never like made it that issue.
Mm-hmm.
We always said we never got title shots, we never got main event matches, we weren't on the poster, we weren't advertised, none of that. So we're just gonna beat up the guys that's getting those opportunities until we get it. That's what our whole stick was.
I got you. When I talked with you about the preparatory questions, you said your two favorite wrestlers were Ric Flair
And Bad News Allen.
and Bad News Allen, also known as Bad News Brown. And so I knew who that was, but I did not know as much as I know now, because let me look into this guy a little bit. And he's got like a judo background. He's a legit shoot fighter.
He got Olympic judo back. I think he got a bronze.
Bronze,
medalist?
yeah. I believe that's right. So that was pretty interesting for me to look into that. And these two guys, obviously, everyone knows who Ric Flair is.
Yep.
Not everyone knows who Bad News Allen, Bad News Brown is.
Right.
What do you attribute that to?
He just was in that WWE window for that short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of his work was like in Stampede and
Right.
yeah, a little bit of stuff he did when he first started in Los Angeles for Mike LaBelle, and I think like in the early '70s. No, excuse me, the late '70s. And then he did all that stuff in the early '80s with Stampede, and then he got 3 years out of WWF.
So you think if he had more TV time, he'd probably had some titles and longer runs?
I think if he had got that run, because the story was he was supposed to beat Hogan for the strap. I think if he had beat Hogan for the belt, I think he would have been still remembered today.
Well,
especially being the first,
yeah,
black guy to win the
obviously,
belt.
yeah.
And I think Ken Andre had some heat backstage. He and Andre the Giant had some issues.
Yeah, they had
too,
a little fight on the tour. When it was a fight, they had a little argument on the tour bus in Japan.
That probably didn't help him then, because I'm sure people put Andre on a pedestal, kind of like they did Undertaker for a while. Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about Ric Flair's influence?
He was just like, I like Ric Flair because he knew how to create excitement. Like when you watch him work, he gave the babyface so much, and then he knew when to shut him down, and he knew when he took his time when it was him to wrestle. He took his time, beat the guy up, and he still was giving the guy some comebacks and hope and stuff like that. And then like right when it's time to get ready to take it home, he'll do all these bounce around this and all that stuff just to make the babyface look good. So I always thought that was like that was to me the most important thing in wrestling, because making each other look good and then telling the story of good versus evil.
It's like what you mentioned earlier, cheating for no reason at all,
Yeah.
just to do it, just establish yourself as the bad guy.
Yeah.
So since we don't have this on the 10 count, I'm gonna go ahead and ask it now. Since we're talking about your top two guys, who's the GOAT in your mind?
In wrestling?
Yep.
I had to go Ric Flair. And second, if I could put anybody, it would be Macho Man, because he could create excitement too.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people overlook him because he was always like kind of like under Hogan. Yeah, but he can really tell a good story. He can get you into it just by the way he looked at people and just pointing at somebody.
Right.
So I definitely give Rick and Macho that.
I got you. Okay. A while back, Tracer X had a Frosted Flakes box with his image on it.
Yeah.
I think
That's cool.
it was his grandma that got it for him. Or his mom.
Some family member.
It was a family member
Yeah.
that did that for him. If you could choose what cereal box you would be on, what would it be and why?
I don't know, man. I just
Are you a cereal eater, or as a kid were you?
I was as a kid. I don't eat it too much anymore. The cereal I do eat is Raisin Bran.
Okay.
So, but
I don't see you as a Raisin Bran guy.
nah, yeah. But I don't know. I had to think about it.
All right, we'll come back to that one.
I'll think about it.
We're going to jump into one of our features. We call it the hot tag. Nate's going to ask these questions of you, and essentially it's kind of the first thing that comes to your mind. You can do a one-word version, or you can explain. And some of these folks are going to be opponents of yours, some are going to be friends of yours, it could be something else. And I'm going to toss it over to Nate.
Yeah, so like Joe said, it's more of a word association. It doesn't have to be one word,
Yeah.
but we don't want like something long, something like a Twitter answer, 140
Right.
characters or less kind of a thing. So, all right, first on the list, TJ Boss, who you mentioned earlier with END.
In wrestling, he's my enemy.
Okay.
In real life, he's my best friend.
Okay.
Nice.
It was what it is.
All right, Joe Shirt, Bam Sucker.
This might be over 140.
That's fine.
So when we were doing the E&D, I think Nick wasn't available as much. Kevin was getting ready to quit wrestling, and I think TJ was hurt. So I was just the only one really doing anything, and then Jet Black was hurt too. So I was thinking like, man, what can I come up with that would still correlate with the group, but it'll be my own. And I remember I wrestled at a show we did at PCW, and I said sucker, and Timmy was like, Timmy Lerton, well, you go by Tim now.
Right.
He said keep that. I'm like, okay, cool. So I kept that. So I used to use that, and then, but that was before. That was when we were still a group. But then, because that's what I was using in the group. So once the group kind of fell apart, I was like, I can just say by any means. And then I was watching Batman one day, the old Batman, when he used to like bang, pow, and stuff like
Right,
that.
yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, I can be like, bam, sucker.
That's
you
perfect.
know. And then there people who still message me to this day and be like, oh man, I didn't know bam meant by any means. I was like, yeah.
That's first I heard that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I got the shirt on. I didn't know that.
Right, yeah.
All right, so next one on the list is a manager that is going to be here at Vital Pro Wrestling tonight, Perry James.
It's, how can I put this? He's probably the best thing that happened in my career so far.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, one of them.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Just I feel like working with him now, I can go in a different direction with my character and stuff like that. Like I feel like I can be taken more seriously now, because now I got Perry James, who comes dressed the part, talks the part, does his job, and he's just as villainous as I am.
Get you extra heat.
Yeah. And it looks better when you got a guy that's representing you that looks the way he does. You know, it looks good. You know.
Right. All right. The current viral champion, Darius Lockhart.
I love that guy. Actually, I was he was the guy I beat to win the APW championship when we had the three-way. I think the title was vacated because TJ got hurt. But I love Darius. He's great. He should be in bigger companies by now, but you know, that'll happen soon enough. But I love him. He's great.
I think you're right.
All right, Bob Keller.
If it wasn't for Bob, I wouldn't be here, you know. And I probably wouldn't have these belts, you know. So I love him. He might be training me, you know.
I know you
ride
guys,
everywhere with him, stuff like that.
You guys that use that hashtag Keller guys are real proud to be associated with him, and he's been around a long time in the business. So
he does a lot. He does a lot for not just the students, but everybody you know. And then like it's not like I'm not knocking nobody, because I've seen like trainers and stuff like that, but he's just like a different type of trainer. Because like we'll go to shows, he'll show you how to set up the ring. He'll show you how to like do the sound and stuff like that, and just you will learn so much from how hard he works. He makes you want to work hard too. So like he's just a great person to be around, you know. And he's like the father figure of the group. So you know. And
I know that you are someone that, I mean, we're obviously very early for this show to get this interview done.
Yeah.
You were here hours ago helping set up, and that's something that I think is lost on some of the guys coming up that maybe don't have Bob training them or certain other trainers. They think, you know, I'm supposed to be out there for my 10 minutes and that's it.
Right.
You're here before and after anyone every time. I mean, I've seen you at other shows, and you always have your gear, right? But I think that's important, and I always try and note the ones that I see. We saw James Johnson. What was he, changing a light bulb or something over the ring one time on a 20-foot high ladder just because they needed to get done. You know, that's respectable.
I've seen James Drake set the ring up.
James Drake setting the ring up, and I even said, "You're the champ. Why are you setting the ring up?" He goes, "You kidding?"
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's part of it.
That's part of it.
Yeah. So I appreciate that as someone.
No wrestling, there's no ring, right? You know. So.
Well, yeah, and a lot of these fans, because Nate and I are able to peek behind the curtain a little bit with this, a lot of these fans don't understand. They think like there's a whole crew that comes in, and you guys simply show up and wrestle and leave. But a lot of times it's the workers that are really working long before and long after.
Taking all the chairs down,
taking everything.
Those hundreds of seats you see out there.
You see guys sweeping and disassembling the ring afterwards and everything.
Yeah, I've like, there's fans and like friends and family members that I talked to me. They was like, "Man, you set up a ring? Like you do all that?" So one fan even was like, "Man, you drive to shows? You don't fly to these shows?"
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Yeah." Like,
although you've flown, I know you had some shows in Cali and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, down here there's a lot of promotions in the Southeast you can drive to. But that's interesting they thought that. That's interesting. Well, we're going to jump into the 10 count now. I'm going to ask the first 5, and Nate's going to finish with 6 through 10.
Yeah. So the 10 count's a neat little feature we have. Just generic 10 questions, some related to wrestling, some not. That you can just pretty much ask anybody, not specific. So you're going to ask these 5 questions over you, or 10 questions.
So we talked about some of your favorite musicians, and you told me Tupac and Master P.
Right.
So we've got a question that we call lose one. And when you lose this thing, you lose everything associated with it.
Right.
So I'm going to make you choose between Tupac and Master P. And when you do this, let's say you choose Master P. Then there's No Limit Records is gone. Anybody associated with that, Silk Shocker, whoever else, gone. Tupac, same thing. Death Row is done. So who would you choose to keep and who would you choose to lose? And why?
Man, like this is hard because I'm such a diehard Pac fan, but I'm gonna have to go with Master P because Tupac ended up dying in 95, and it was 95, 96, 96. He died in 96, didn't he?
I'm not sure.
I think it's 96.
I can't remember Biggie, 96.
Because Eazy-E died in 95.
Okay.
So I think it was 96. But yeah, like I think Master P has done beyond what is expected for one person to do.
Okay.
You know, like he's been a rapper, he's been a producer, actor, director, he did movies,
Clothing line too, right?
clothing line, shoes, played on the NBA.
Yeah,
did
that
stuff
NBA
on-
thing's wild.
Yeah, like he done a lot of stuff, and he's still doing things. Like he's still active, and I think he's a positive role model that's way overlooked. You know, like I don't think he get enough credit.
Overachiever for sure.
Yeah, and I think people still knock him for what happened with No Limit, but like you understand, he was the business mind of the group, and like I think that's what happens what mess up with some of these big time rap groups and stuff like that is that there's only one person that's business mind, the other ones are just trying to get the money and get the success. But he was the mind that had to create everything and make everything happen. You know?
So you're gonna lose Tupac.
Even though Pac was Master P's biggest influence, but I think the mind that Master P had, he still would have been.
So you gotta take your shirt off then, because
Yeah, and I got Pac on my shirt. You know?
I saw you looking. I'm about to
There
drop
goes.
this here.
But man, I love Pac too. You know, he was a big influence too. But
Right.
I mean, you never know what he would have done if he had lived. You know,
Oh, yeah.
stuff
True.
like that.
Oh, yeah, for
Because
sure.
he did a lot too in his short time.
Yeah. All right. So question number 2 is related to a dinner I had with you and Jared Fritz in Charleston.
Yeah.
We're at this place that Jared recommended for chicken wings. And I can't remember if you said all drums are all flats, but that was probably the first time I heard someone say that. So remind me, drums are flats, and why?
Drums.
And why is that?
Because it's easier to eat.
Okay.
Yeah. You eat flats, you got to go through all this work. Just
Okay.
eat it.
So it was drums.
Yeah.
And there's more meat on a drum anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm team drums also.
Yeah. All right. Number 3, I want a dream match, but I want one with someone that's alive and one that's with someone that's dead.
Negro Casas in Mexico, because he's like my favorite wrestler from Mexico.
Okay.
And dead Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, that's a favorite right there for sure. Okay. Number 4, I'm actually going to change this, Nate. I'm going to ask you, what's the last thing that you ordered from either Amazon or eBay?
I think I ordered
You got it
You'll
on
pull it up.
whatever it is.
AirPod case for my AirPod Pros.
Okay.
It's not this one. My girlfriend got me this one.
That's neat. Looks
But
like a
the-
Nintendo Switch.
The one I had, it was like a little Nintendo Game Boy one.
Okay.
And she got me the Switch one. This is a whole lot better. But yeah.
All right. So that was number 4. Number 5, and I think I messaged you at making sure you do eat at Cookout, the restaurant Cookout, which we were talking about on the way here. What is your go-to Cookout order?
The Out West burger with no mayonnaise.
Okay. What else though? That's like
Onion rings and nuggets.
onion rings and nuggets. What kind of drink do you get there?
Water. Sometimes I might get fruit punch. If I'm feeling
Fruit
good.
punch?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They got that huge tea that's like, trash bag size.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, turn it over to you there.
All right, so this is a fun question. So tell us about your first car.
The first car was a green Chevy Blazer, 98. And I used to joke with people. I was like, man, 98 couldn't wait because I was so rushing to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hurry up and try to get the money to go get it or whatever, stuff like that. But I think I had that car for about maybe like a year. And then everything just started breaking down. It's like one by one. And then I remember I got in an accident. This is crazy. I got in an accident, right? It was raining. And I thought the lady in front of me was going to just go through the yellow light. So I just kept going at normal speed. She stopped. And then because the car, the Blazer I had, the tires weren't all that great. So it was raining. So I skidded into her car. And then when that happened, my driver's side door was bent. We had to go through all the process with her and stuff like that. but I couldn't get my window up anymore. So this is when I was young. So I thought I had the bright idea to get pliers to try to lift the window up, and then I squeezed hard and shattered the window.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a rough little time with that Chevy Blazer. So I had to ride with no window, dented in the man, it was terrible.
It's always a fun story. All
CD
right.
player got stolen out of it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
While the window was busted, so they just had to reach in.
Yep.
All right, this is our genie in the bottle question. So, if you could change one thing about pro wrestling, what would you like to change about it? The business.
That it stopped being overexposed. I'm even at the point now like that I want to stop like following like certain like websites, because especially like not website but like Facebook pages, like dirt sheet stuff where they tell you like all the inside stuff is going on, and I see it and obviously it's right there. I'm gonna stop and look. But it really got to me when Chris Jericho did an interview with Austin on Broken Skull.
Yeah.
And they put up the conversation that Austin had with Vince to get Jericho on, and I was like, man, like I didn't want to know that.
Yeah.
Like I was just already into the fact that man, Jericho is on Broken Skull with Austin, and he's an AEW guy.
Right.
And I was into that. But then once I heard the backstory, it's like, fuck, I didn't want to know that, man. You know. Sometimes I still want to feel that way too, even though I'm in it. I still want to feel like, okay, I don't want to be in the know of that. I want to just watch it and be happy with that.
Just enjoy it in real time, right?
Yeah.
No
I just
spoilers.
miss that. I just don't like that it's overexposed.
Okay.
And then to the point where guys don't care anymore. Like they just say whatever, do whatever. And that's just my thing.
Like that. All right, pick a superpower.
Probably fly. I make that fly with the speed of light. I can get to towns faster.
You could follow up to the shows, like your friend said.
Get 2 works in one night, right?
All right, here's a music question. So West Coast rap versus East Coast rap. So we had, Tupac to West Coast, of course.
Yeah.
East, you had Master P in Atlanta. So West Coast versus East Coast.
I'll go with early 90s. I'll go with the West Coast. Now I gotta go East Coast all day.
Okay.
Because of who?
Like
who? What makes you say East Coast now?
Well, it's not the new rappers of the day, I'll tell you that. But it was just like the rappers that like I grew up with, like the Master P's, the 3-6 Mafia, a lot of the guys that Cash Money Records, just all the guys from the South and stuff like that. And a lot of the rappers that I've learned about who was on the underground scene during when Southern rap was hot. And it's like, man, like you can tell that the Southern influence is going kind of beyond its lifespan. Because like Southern rap is like taking over. Like New York, like up north rap ain't really popping like it used to. They had their little period, but I think East Coast rap got it right now. I don't think West Coast had its glory in the early 90s, and that was it, to me.
Yeah. All right. So this is a fun one. So let's say that show's over, you're in Waffle House, and somebody comes up, starts a fight with you. You could pick 3 indie wrestlers to go with you to have this fight outside. What 3 indie wrestlers do you want to fight? Got your back in a fight. 4-on-4 fight. Who you picking? What 3?
I go with TJ Boss. I think I might say Chris Valor because he's a hothead. He's always ready to fight.
Yeah.
Movie Mike, I know Movie Mike got my back. And I go with Lucky Ali.
Okay.
Good list. All right, so that concludes our interview. So closing plugs, where can people find you, social media, that kind of thing?
You can find me on Twitter Z_Shock DA World. You can find me on Instagram, Zuka_King_. You can find me on Facebook at Zuka King. That's all I got. I'm not a TikTok guy. I can't do it. That's it. I think if I get on TikTok, it'll just overconsume my life, and I don't want to get on that.
And if somebody wants your merchandise, aside from seeing you at a show, which we would encourage because then they're supporting indie wrestling overall as well, can they reach out to you or the Pro Wrestling Tees, or what's the best way?
Yeah. For the Bam Sucker T-shirts that he has on right now, Joe Rocker, you can go on SOSCustomTees.com. And then for the On Fire T-shirts that I don't have with me right now, but I'm putting an order in soon. You just go directly to me to get those.
And I have seen these, including the one you had on earlier with gold instead of red and maybe green. What else you got?
Yeah, gold, dark blue, purple, light blue, green.
I thought I had the best looking one. I saw you wearing the gold one. I was like, man, I want that one now.
Yeah, because I had to change it up because I was like, the red one is cool, but I think if I get another color, more people will want to buy it. Because that was one thing at the beginning too. They're like, man, you had this color out again.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try it out.
Listen to them and make the money. Sure. Okay.
So we can be found Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course, is where we host our interviews. Those are all found at Suplexes Mics. So look us up on there, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tell your friends. So Zuka, man, thanks for taking time with us and hanging out and talking a little bit. So we'll see you again soon. Look forward to seeing you tonight in your match. So thanks for watching.